Hello. Hello.
Phantom with the 8-month tier 1 sub. Hi cute small beans.
Hello.
I'm ready. I swear I'm ready. It's just been a while since I've had to, like, you know, set nonsense up. It's only been, like, what, an entire week plus. I just forgot to turn off bandwidth testing mode when I was done with it, so when I hit the start streaming the first time, nothing was running. So yeah. Alright. Lights. Camera. Ba-ba-bam. Yes, we're back on that grind, Lazuli. We are back. We are back on that Twitch content creation grind mindset nonsense thingy. We are back. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. So Bone was first. They're having a bit of a stressful day. They're a little bit exhausted. So I'm sorry it was like that for you. If you need to, like, you know, lurk, have a little sippies and such, that's okay.
The dog thinks you should do 20 squats.
But of course you want me to do squats on the get-go. Fine. We are going to do squats. We are going to do squats. I wonder if other people will join me. Maybe Icy? Maybe Lazuli? What about you, Phantom? You gave me... This is the 8th month sub. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Teach me to squat. All right. Hands at the front here. Do not hold onto your tits. Hands right here. Straight back. And then bending from the knees and doing your best to keep balance. You can put your butt out a little bit if you want. Like you want feet at like a width. And then you go down. And back up again. Cookie! Who wanted the cookie? Sky! Here's your cookie. All right. And then you just need to do this 19 more times. 2. 3. Oh, make sure you go up with a straight back as well. You don't want to be bending forwards or backwards when you're doing your thingy. You can have your butt out a little bit when you're bending the knees, though.
317. Hi Bone, how is your 68 kilograms ass?
What an ass. All right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, let me see if I can do these quicker. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Quote 107.
12,
I just want
13,
my duck sucked. Is that too much
14,
to ask?
It is too much to ask. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Thank you for the 20 squats. Would join in, but you're tired? Everyone in Australia, or at least all the Australian furs, I should say, are tired today. They could have also been tired yesterday as well. Thanks for the color pick on the OC. Not to worry. You had like restrictions on like, you know, it can't be purple, it can't be blue, it can't be green, and I was like, well, damn, I like those colors. So I went with cyan, which is a mix. But yeah, also, hi there, Morse. I forgot to say hi to Morse earlier when they decided to call me by my actual name. Oh wait, no, they didn't use my actual name. They called me Garnt. I'm not Garnt. I'm not Garnt Menetapo. I'm not the Anime Zone man. I'm not Giguk. Or Gig UK. Leslie already did their 300. They were exhausted as fuck. Garnt. Also, hi there, Avalon. Hi. Gennard, I'll get it right someday. You better get it right someday. One of these days, you'll get it right. One of these days. But yeah, so... Excuse me for being,
Quote
like, exhausted.
2. I am the one who is providing the nut for everyone.
Yes. Hello there. So, I am back. I'm just moving thingy-madiggies around, so then that way I have, like, you know, an entirely different setup while I'm just chatting to all these peeps. What did I just do?
Quote 174. Why can't I ride the creepy flesh toilet?
Oh my gosh, no. Oh no, I just like had everything like basically disappear. There we go. Hi there, that boy. Sorry, I just had like all of my windows like drop down and such. I had no clue what was going on. Oh my goodness, the robot Zeebs is still alive with 7 kills. They're doing good. And then Bones just like, oh my, nut. How was FurDU? Yes, that's why I wanted to just talk about FurDU. I made notes for this one. So yeah, because this was the second time that I've gone to FurDU. The first time I went was in 2021. It was like straight after COVID for Australia, and they still had COVID restrictions. You had to wear a mask and all this kind of such. But it was when I went in 2021, I was a mess because I went there with no friends, no plan, and it was just a case of, oh, I've got the weekend. I took the days off. Like I basically took like I think Friday to Sunday off, and you know that the first time in 2021, I didn't enjoy my time as well as like other people. I think I left like Sunday morning, like before the FurCon was all done and everything. So, but this time around for 2023, I had a fursuit, and I already had like a few people asking like, "Hey, are you going to this thing?" And I was like, "Yes, I am," because you know I was starting to do more as you know, I was starting to do more as like you know a furry than just, you know, silently absorbing shit on my Twitter, just doing like doom scrolling and being like, haha, titties, and then just hitting that like and retweet. So this time around, after like doing content creation and such, and what's more is there was also a Twitch panel that I wanted to take part in. Arden, it was called a Twitch meetup for Saturday, which was good. But yeah, so Thursday is when I went down there. This was an entirely different hotel to normal because FurDU had been growing like every year. I think they got close to like 2,000 peeps or something like that. So it was like really huge. If they go any bigger and they wanted to like have space, they would have to go down to like a convention center or something. But this time around, hi there, Jason. Welcome to the stream. I'm talking about my FurDU experience. FurDU, they set themselves up in a hotel normally. And the idea is because like you get furries from like all around Australia coming over, and they normally have, because you have the whole like costume and such like that. Thank you for the follow. Wait, you're already, no, you are, something was happening. Thank you for the whole. What's doom scrolling? Doom scrolling is, you ever have that feeling, Avalon, where you're just, it's when you're in a very like negative space and you're just going through your Twitter feed and you're just sort of like, oh my goodness, what is happening to the world? Why is America like this? Why is ScoMo like this? Elon, stop ruining the platform. It's one of those kinds of scrolls where you just keep scrolling and you're just making yourself upsetties. Like maybe it's because of TV shows being commented on and all this kind of nonsense, but hello. Hi there, Jack. But doom scrolling only really happens when you have a Twitter feed that you're not really curating for enjoyments and such. So, for example, my Twitter feed, I don't follow, political leaders or governments or like news articles and such like that. I'm following like fucking streamers, artists, and just other kinds of content creators. So it's normally a collection of like shit posting or just good art is what it is for me. So the doom scrolling aspect only happens if for some reason there's like, a global pandemic going off and everyone just suddenly, is in depresso mode. So that's when doom scrolling actually hits for me. But for other people, they get the doom scrolling and such. That's not true. You don't have Twitter. Oh, cool. Well, you don't have to worry about doom scrolling, or you're just using the explore section, which is just bleh.
Where is my ducking tree?
I don't know where the ducking tree is. I get Elon Musk so much I had to block him. Yeah, no, fair. I get Elon Musk just by, news articles or, other people mentioning him. So that's why I don't need to bother following him or anything like that. So that's my thing. When was there mention of doom scrolling? Oh, this was just my comment on, being, when I was a furry in 2021, my contributions as a furry in 2021 was doom scrolling Twitter. My contributions as a furry in 2021 was doom scrolling Twitter, seeing titties and going, titties, and then liking and retweeting it. That was my contributions as a furry in in 2021. My contributions as a furry in 2022, 2023, however, is a lot more investment. So boobies! Yeah, boobies! So yeah, so doing the whole what's a mahoozy? Doing streaming and such like that, having this VTuber model as like sort of the front for the streaming rather than IRL me, liking and retweeting still, but, just other aspects that, I'm actually interacting with a community rather than just absorbing what they create. Speaking of Twitter, I think I've been partially trolled by a bot or random account saying, and a bunch of others have been doxxed. That might have happened. Hey there, Arlo. Welcome to the stream. So, Arlo was one of the peeps I was actually lucky enough to meet in at FurDU and such like that. So, because that was one of the reasons.
Phantom_Master117 paid me to say, can we get a command for Lucos 2 Bliss Peach Lucos 2 Heart Butt?
No. Real quick, I can't afford sub. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jason. But yeah, so. Sorry, I'm going on random tangents and such like that. And it's not because of like all these like figurines deciding to have their like little fight and what have you. It's like just reading chat and then getting caught up into doom scrolling or the latest news. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so one of the reasons I went to FurDU this year rather than, skipping it like I did in 2022 is because there was people I wanted to meet. Like I was doing the streaming and such. So, right at the get-go, it was like, oh, I want to see Kusaki. I want to see Mutasaur again. Scribbly Noodle, Blue, Lazuli, Peppa. There was Kahlua. There was like a number of people like that I actually was kind of interested in going to see because they were going to go there as well and they had plans there. And I was like, oh, I might as well, go there. Did I get vored? No, I didn't. Amazingly enough, I didn't get vored. Kahlua didn't bite me. I am safe. I am A-okay. So yeah. So I kind of want to like run through like what my day-to-day was because I had to not yet exclamation point question mark. Yeah, not yet. It's always a not yet thing. But let's be fair, I'm not looking to get vored. It's just a case of sometimes you don't get to I thought you said bored. No, someone said vor. Avalon said vor, the degenerate. Any whoosies. So yeah, so there was interest in going to FurDU this year and, you know, seeing the peeps and, you know, interacting, you know, hanging out. I wanted to, like, you know, hang out with, you know, these people that I, you know, saw in their streams, chatted with, and maybe did like that, you know, MTG online thing. I wanted to be able to, like, you know, interact with people. And then there was, like, you know, a few people such as Erlo and Simon Moo who were going and, you know, were interested in, you know, giving me a wave and saying hi and, you know, a hug and all those kinds of things. So, like, there was a lot more social investment and more likely a social return in going into a convention, because these things are normally a little bit expensive. I'm going to be real with you. So to put into context, you need to spend like $100 or so. I don't know what the value, I can't remember the value of the ticket, and I don't want to like look it up. That was one of the notes I did not take. Like, it costs a certain amount of money to get a ticket. So then that way you can attend the convention and the 3 days and such like that. And then if you're not living near the convention, so for me, I'm living in Brisbane, and an hour and a half south was the convention. So, you have to pay for accommodation. If you're lucky, your accommodation is the same hotel where the convention is. And that one, even with the discount, was about $800 or so for the amount of days that I booked for there. Basically, I booked in from like Thursday till Monday. Well, technically Sunday night. Like, I was paying for those days and those nights. So, and it was like about $800. If it wasn't at the hotel with the furry convention, I would have spent easily $1,000. It hurts. It financially hurts going to conventions that you're not in town for. So that's why, you know, some of the furs are, you know, content creators and will normally go there to, you know, peddle their wares and such. Like, the dealer's den is a huge thing. Critical hits to my wallet. Exactly. I saved up for that, however. I already had like a savings goal just to, you know, have an emergency fund or save up for Japan. So being able to just be like, oh, rather than go to Japan in 2024, I'm gonna, you know, push that date back and instead point to FurDU going off this year. Thank you for the hyper himbo, Alvirus. I greatly appreciate it. You got a ticket to Oz, but you forgot to book it? No! Boy! What were you thinking? Boy! Oh my god, Avalon's on a 15 kill streak. Amazing. Oh my goodness, Avalon. You are absolutely fucking insane. It's because of all that... I wasn't that thing. You forgot to book... What else am I supposed to take from that message that you forgot to book it? You're just meaning you just didn't do it entirely, so then that way you didn't spend anything? But yeah, hi, yes, it's good to be back, Elvers. So yeah, it costs a lot of money to go to these furry conventions and such, but thankfully I was able to save up some money, and I saved up more on the side because I knew I was going to be on break, I was going to the Gold Coast, I was most likely going to be spending my money on some dumb shit, especially since there's a dealer's den where they're trying to have you sell things like, pins, stickers, commissions.
Make us DJs with the 4-month tier 1 sub. Welcome back.
All Thank you, Makers DJs. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, look at me. This is me on the floor. All right, and back to camera 2. But yeah, welcome back, Makers DJs. Glad to have you. You had fun with your friends in Jamestown. I have no clue where Jamestown is. I'm so sorry. I don't know where that is. Are you in Australia? No, I'm trying to remember where you are. I've been in your streams like once or twice. I just can't remember where you've been. Also, titties, stop bouncing. There we go. But yeah, so subscription death. Thank you, Phantom, for the subscription death. It's near James. I figured, but which James? New Zealand. Okay. Damn, that's a ways away. That's a long ways away. Oh my goodness. Did Avalon Hoss stay alive? Oh my gosh, no, because Avalon Hoss's death counter is like reset. They only have 1 kill and now they're dead. Oh, that's a shame. All Jameses. Jamestown is just near any James. You go to James first, and then you just go on a mindless walk, and you end up in Jamestown. Doesn't matter which state, doesn't matter which country, which continent. You just go to your local James, and then you just walk aimlessly, and you'll end up in Jamestown, New Zealand. So yeah, where was I? Oh yes, Thursday. Was able to get to the hotel. It was pretty great. And they were in this new hotel. This was the first year in the new hotel because of, you know, the number of people that had gone to this thing. And there were some teething issues. So normally they get hosted over in the Mantra in Surface Paradise where, you know, you have the reception area, but then you just have a set of stairs to like this space up above, which is still technically like the reception area. But like, you know, normally furries would just, you know, they go through the reception area to get into the hotel, but then they go upstairs out of the way of like normals. Hi, Mom. I forgot you were going to call. Yeah, just a bit. What's up? Sorry about that. Sorry, I had to call. That was my mom. I forgot she was calling me, but thankfully it was only just for like a short little, did you get the letter? No, I didn't, I'm sorry to say. A lot of nothing and bugs. Ah, that's what Jamestown is. Hi there, Masonic. Thank you for the clip, Phantom. All right, where was I in my train of thought? Bit of teething problems at this new hotel, though, because they didn't have, you know, that big of a area, the lobby, so to speak. So in the beginning of the day, it was kind of okay because there wasn't that many furs who weren't already busy, you know, trying to set up their dealer's den or who were with con operations. But as the day went longer, so like once it got past like, say, 10 a.m., like when it started getting into the afternoon when people could like actually, you know, check into their hotel room and such like that, the con space, they teething you? That's so... What, teething me? No, I'm so lost by... Oh, no, teething issues. So, like, it's because, you know, it was a new hotel altogether. It was the first time they were at this hotel, and it was, like, the largest that FurDU was at. So, you know, you had multiple kinds of issues. Anyway, so your train of thoughts was OC tier ranking. Teething issues. So, yeah, so... Brain. Come on, brain. Oh yeah. So, got there like in sort of close to the afternoon for myself.
Be so fine. Then boom. Morning.
My day do be so fine. But yeah, so 10 a.m. was like checkout day for a lot of peeps, and they normally say like, oh, like 2 or 3 p.m. is your check-in time. I was able to get in a little bit sooner than 1 p.m. or something like that, or was it 2 p.m. I was able to get in like sort of the early part of the afternoon to get into my hotel room, which was nice. But oh my goodness, the lobby area is not that big. So as more and more furries arrived and just wanted to hang out with their friends or just, you know, vibe with other people, they just sat around the lobby area, which, you know, started getting a little bit clustery. And then there came like the add-on effect where normally the con space, you're normally able to go in and out of the con, and some of like the con rooms in the previous place, the Mantra, you didn't need to use the elevator to get from like, you know, one con room to the other. It was, you know, fairly open spaced, and they allowed I think they allowed the emergency staircase to go up another level for the actual dealer's den. But for this place, they didn't allow the emergency exit stairs to get used to go like up and down, or sorry, to be used to go up. You could go down, but you had to go all the way down to ground, basically. So the elevators were chock full, and this phrase was popping up a lot of the time in either the Telegram chat or just, you know, people in general when they're around the elevators or in an elevator shaft finally, but it was cramped, was a thing called elevator con, where you basically are sort of like, that's where you feel like a majority of your experience in the con is. If you don't, you know, say for example, you go into the game/chill room and you just spend your entire time there, or, you know, spend your entire time in the lobby, is you're spending quite a bit of your time in the elevator, which isn't too great. And there's also the fact that you know, when you go for the elevators and such, you should be giving priority to those in fursuits, because the etiquette is if there's like someone in a fursuit and they're looking to get into the elevator, especially if they're looking to go up, it means they're looking to get out of their fursuit, because, you know, dehydration, heat, what have you. Give them priority. Do not cut a furry in a fursuit, because you're just being a dick. But yeah, elevator con was the phrase, where you're just basically hanging out near the elevators or in the elevator trying to get to your floor or trying to get to ground. So and then there's also the lineup for the pickup. Oh yeah, they tried doing a virtual queue on Thursday. So pre-registration was open on Thursday. They tried doing a virtual queue. There was like a good 300 to 400 people in this virtual queue, and it was quite a long process going through all these peeps. And like, I can understand just sheer volume and having maybe only 3 to 4 people to, you know, do the whole, hey, what's your name? Yep, okay, yep, you're on the list, here's your card. I understand that can take a bit of time. It's not as quickly as I just demonstrated there. But oh my goodness. It was so, like, they needed to get that down pat, and they didn't on the Thursday or the Friday, it felt like. Me standing, like, there was just a time where it just felt like, you know, I wasn't even, like, I got up to, like, the 30th point or something like that on like, or 30th place in Thursday before they were like, all right, no more pre-reg edge, because, you know, it's the end of the day, basically. Con Ops has other operations they need to do. You'll need to be part of the normal queue for like the regular registration on Friday, which is, you know, between the hours of like, you know, 9 and 11:30 kind of thing. So yeah, and that one was a bit of a mess itself, because like, even though I was like at 30th, at some point they just dropped the usage of the virtual queue. Do not pull the lever. You had to pull the lever. But yeah, so there was times where it just felt like, and they did it in like sort of waves, and there was some points where it felt, you know, like it took a lot longer than it should have to do some of the con stuff. So by the time I didn't do like a time of like, oh, how long it took from, you know, me at the back of the line to the front of the line kind of thing. But what I did do is I timed the interaction, basically, where once I had someone like wave me forward to stand in front of the table, I basically like just sort like, they probably saw me do it, but I basically started the timer on my phone, quickly put that away, presented them my identification and the QR code that was my registration to have them do the you know, get my card, get my get my card, get my you know, my loot bag or whatever it's called. The time, it took about 2 minutes for them, and that time definitely got extended because one, some of the bags were not pre-packed. Obviously some bags are not equal to others because you have, you know, the general admission, then you have the sponsor, and then you have the super sponsor, which, you know, granted that can be a little bit, you know, difficult, but none of them were pre-packed. So there was always one person who wasn't running a table and was instead, you know, went off to a bag, filled it in with the stuff, came back, handed it to the person who was taking my name and such, and handed it to me, kind of thing. The person that I gave my identification to, they had a little bit of difficulty finding my email address and my name. They basically like typed in what they thought. Look at this himbo. Yeah, look at this himbo. Look at this amazing himbo. Hi there, Blue. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're doing all right. How's the con? How's the post-con feels? Himbo energetic is good. Yes, exactly. So yeah, I'm just talking about my experiences. This is going to be a very long just chatting session where I'm just talking about my experience. Look at this himbo. Just boom. So yeah. So it was about 2 minutes, and there were times where, you know, like that time felt extended because of, you know, the fact that they had to package their bags like once I finally got to the table and such, because I'm a general, I was just a general admission. I wasn't a super sponsor or anything like that. But then there came the point where, you know, I give my ID, and it's basically a Queensland's driver's license. And the person I got, they for some reason were having difficulty finding my name or what have you, that they turned the tablet around and were like, okay, could you just like quickly point to where you see your name or your email address? Fair enough. I understand that, you know, finding my own name is going to be a lot quicker than trying to find someone else's name. But the issue with that, however, is when they've done that and I check the name, they didn't write my name properly. They got my first name, good, nice work, but because of the format of the Queensland driver's license, it has the first name and the middle name on one line, and then they have the last name on a separate line. They did not take my last name. I did not share my middle name, so they were basically looking for like basic, like, I'm not going to give my real name, but the Grant Johannes instead of, you know, GrantZeebs, which, you know, when you go to vote and for some reason they can't find your last name or when they register, that shit right there. Hate that feel. Yeah, no. So yeah, it was a very, you know, bit of a stress. Like at that moment I was just sort of like, nope, you got it wrong. This is it right here. And I like basically had to spell out my name for them. And then they did that. And then immediately after they typed in like the first few characters, they were like, all right, can you press on your like name again? And I was just sort of like, this could have very well, like, that almost spoke of oh my God, why is Blue such a fucking huge ass? What was up? Why was Blue's emote so huge? Why did you have such a huge ass? Cookie from Masonic. Here you go. Here's your cookie. So yeah, so 2 minutes for one person, and you had to go through about 1,500 peeps. Like crazy. Absolute insanity. So, yay, cookie. So yeah, so that was my registration experience on the Friday. But turns out on the Friday as well, Tears of the Kingdom came out. I really wanted to play that. I wasn't planning on playing it on stream, and I wasn't planning to be like, oh, I can't play Tears of the Kingdom just yet. I have to play it on stream first. Nope. Fuck that nonsense. I was gonna play Tears of the Kingdom when it came out, and it was gonna be like my thingy. It was just gonna be my silly, like, little game that I was gonna put some hours into or all the hours into. And that's what it was on Friday. Oh, totally forgot. Sorry, I need to go back a bit, because I was talking about registration and such like that. I need to go back to Thursday evening, because that was the first Thursday, because that was the first technically afternoon and night where I bumped into people. And, like, I'm going to be real with you, chat. I'm not that strong in the social skills. Blue can attest to this. A number of people can attest to this. I'm pretty sure Velveta had some good critiques. I don't know if they're in the chat. No, they're probably not in the chat. But I was not really great at the social situations, especially at the start. Sure, I forget names and faces a few times, but the very first impression that I did with a furry was I was walking around the con space, like, just like, walking around. I hadn't got my badge yet because it was with Mutasaur, and I couldn't get that until the dealer's den was open, which wasn't until Friday. And I basically heard, let's see if one of the voice lines comes up.
Don't make me send you to Jesus myself.
Basically this. I heard this in the hotel lobby area, and I just went, whoop, turned. I saw someone, and they were wearing, the cool Galaxy hoodie and a cool ass scarf, and they weren't in a maid outfit, but I had a sneaky suspicion that I knew who they were. And I just went and pointed. And I was just like, Blue! And and then Blue, Fox, and Icy just like looks at me, and they're just like, who are you? And I was just like, oh, hang on. Hi, I'm Grant. Like, I had to like basically take a step back and like, I can't just, point at a furry and name out a color. You fucker. So that was my first like spotting a furry in the FurCon, was just me point and shout their first part of their name or their handle. So then it was just like taking a step back, and I was like, okay, let me try that again. Hi, I'm Grant. And they're like, oh. And it was so great because in my time of introducing myself, it's either whether I had the badge or not, the impression people had of me was the same thing. Like when it was like, hi, because my introduction was basically, hi, I'm Grant, because it's the first part of my name. I didn't think of going with the full name of, hi, I'm GrantZeebs, or hi, I'm Zeebs. So there would be this moment where people would just sort of be like, and then it would click in. It would just be like the second half of the username pops into their head, or they saw the badge and they recognize the zebra, and they would either be like, oh, Zeebs. They would either be like that, or oh, it would be like, oh, Zeebs. Like, it was always oh, Zeebs. And it was either an oh, Zeebs of, excitement of like, oh, they like now like all the synapses are firing on their brain and remembering this dumb himbo zebra.
Hello.
Or the flight or flight response would go off, because then they would be like, oh, it's Grant Zeebs, this guy. Hi there, YY. Welcome to the stream. I'm talking about basic Zeebs, ties of cringe. Almost like that. I don't know, like I want to think that more people were like, oh, like it was like like it was just synapses firing rather than a flight or fight or dies of cringe moment came up. So, but that was that was how I was introducing myself, was just like, holding a hand out for a handshake and be like, hi, I'm Grant. Oh, balls, it's him again. Probably Friday and Saturday. That might have been some people's thoughts. That might have been some people's thoughts. I am going to be real with you. I didn't have any thoughts of like, oh, balls, it's him again. And on my side, at the very least, like there was never a time where I never like looked at Velveta and went, oh, it's Velveta. It was just sort of like a, ooh, people, furries. It's just like, hi. Granted, there was a few times when I've already met the person. Scandy. I had already met Scandy like 2 or 3 times, and there would still be the case where I would look at Scandy, fursuit or no fursuit, and go, hi, I'm Grant. He was acting so professional, like as if we were doing a business transaction. It's called being polite, Blue. So some people don't want to be like, oh, like, or, with the hand ends and being like, oh, hi, I'm Grant. Like, it was just it felt proper. Okay, you present like it's just like, hi, I'm Grant. Like that's just that's how I thought you'd do it. Unless you all have name tags or distinct outfits, I'll forget your faces and moments. Thankfully, Blue had a distinct outfit. Galaxy Hood. Sound like a work. That's what I should do next time. Is I should just have my Gmail, like not my Twitter handle of like at GrantZeebs or the full name. I should just have GrantZeebs@gmail.com and go, hi, I'm Grant, and do it in a business suit and everything. I'd be a nervous wreck of like, who? Oh, fuck, it's you. Hi, sorry. That is, so, I think there were a few people, I think Peppa maybe would have been like, oh, fuck, it's you. I think Peppa was actually an, oh, fuck, it's you. Velveta was an, it is you trying to take Z's job. Z, like, I'm pretty sure I waved at Blue one time, and then I went to Z and was like, hi, I'm Grant. Z didn't have a problem with me, you know, being a handshake Andy and being like, hi, I'm Grant. Who the fuck is bouncing around? That boy or Blue. If the intro fighters are still, you know, a distraction, I can get rid of them and such. I'm not like using a high amount of my CPU, which is nice. Also, someone was asking, what is my GPU? Oh, easy. PC. Because that should do a thingamadiggy. Nah, they fine? Cool, they're fine. They fine. So yeah, so Thursday, introduced myself to a lot of peeps. The like one person I was surprised to see was Kahlua. I don't know why. Somehow I was just like, oh, you're Kahlua. I was just like, hi. Despite the fact Shillelagh, is that how I say her name? Despite the fact Shillelagh was right next to him, and I was just sort of like, hi. But yeah, was able to meet all kinds of furs, a mixture of the content creators, editors and such like that on the Thursday who were like trying to do pre-registration and such, and then didn't have a lot of, you know, good planning in the way. So that nothing really came to fruition until Thursday evening when I met up with Scribbly, aka Z, and I met up with Blue, and then I met up with Zevin Arts, or Zevin. Do they go by Zevin? They go by, I think their furry name came up was something else. The little model of you in the background is wrong. It should have bigger package. Oh, you're meaning that one there. You're meaning the one on the top of the shelf. No, don't worry about it. Ooh, actually, that reminds me. Hang on a second. I need to change something. Give me a moment. I need to see whether or not. All right. So we got. So, break room background. I need to see whether or not this break room background is going to be a good idea, because I've done some adjustments. I have put in something different, and all right, so that's not the perfect size, so because that's 1080p, and then ow, Expedient Fab, thank you for the follow. All right, that doesn't look half bad. That actually looks pretty good. All right, that might be my new thingy-madiggy. Let me see if I can just use the transformation tools, like edit transformation. 14, 25, 50. Hang on, what is normal resolution for 1440p? 25, here we go. 2560 by 1440. There we go. There. That looks pretty good. There's a few more things in the shelf. So if I don't have like the cheers, the subs, and the recent follows, you can see like the lightsaber I made. You can see a cactar that I was able to, you know, redo. A pair of glasses. Like I put in a few more things in there. Ooh, I need to update that because the GPU is correct, but not the CPU. But yeah, where Zevin. So yeah, any whoosies. Thursday night. Me, Blue, Zevin, and Z, we got together and we played a game of Magic the Gathering. We played 2 games of Commander. 2 games of Commander. The first one, I actually won. It was a little bit tense because Blue, you know, did the blue. Actually, no, Blue wasn't even blue in the first MTG game, I think. Did you assemble your PC yourself? Yes, I did. Blue, I can't remember what their first deck was, but somehow they, like, stole some of my shit, and then they stole some of Z and Zevin's shit, and I was like, I'm not interested in that. So I dropped down, like, a Rurik Thar, and I think I made it hit for, like, 24 damage unblockable. Blue isn't my main color at MTG. Then why is your name Blue? It hurts me every time. Every time I'm thinking of Blue, Foxy, Nicey, Icy, I'm like, oh, he must play Blue in MTG. Cookie for Engrel. Hi there, Engrel, aka Simon. I need to... Actually, that reminds me. I need to... where's the thingy-madiggy? There's the thingy-madiggy. Because I'm pretty sure Engrel is aka Simon Moo. Simon Moo. Hopefully I'm correct. Otherwise, this is going to be a very awkward nickname. Your threat assessment is so bad. It's not terrible. As far as, like, the best action was, it was to do a return hit to you. It's just, there came a point where you were really, really low on health, and so Zevin, like, elected to not continue hitting you. It do be on other things. Yes. All right, cool. Simon Moo it is. So it's not like I don't like, yes, I have terrible threat assessment, but here's the thing is like, I'm going to pull the Himbo card out right now and be like, I am not the best at, you know, intelligence and puzzles and shit. I did nothing with the shit I took because there was nothing to do. Oh yeah, that's right. You were playing a mutate deck. You took shit. You took my Ilarge Raise Boar, and you didn't have a clue what to do with Ilarge the Raise Boar, despite the fact that Ilarge the Raise Boar allows you to just cheat out a creature for a hit and pull it back into your hand. It's just like, oh, but it doesn't mutate into everything. It's like, who the fuck cares? Like, it does something. You didn't do anything with the things we got, and you were just idling your time, but you had no creatures in my hand, fucker. God damn. You had, what was his name? You had you had the death, dude. You had the black creature that was like, oh, non-humans that attack will be destroyed, and then non-humans on your field get +1/+1 and undying. But then you had, like, you know, this other thing to give, like, or to, you know, take away the +1/+1s or something or other. So yeah, your board state looked threatening because there was shit on there. So anyway, because I was playing Gruul, I was playing red-green, I just wanted to be like, haha, I'm just gonna tap and attack. And Zevin was playing dragons. Like, I'm gonna be real, Zevin and I probably, like, if the day was different, Zevin and I probably should have just been, you know, punching each other for damage. They would hit me for like maybe 5 or 6 flying in the... Actually, no, they did hit me for 5 or 6 in the air. They did. They hit me for like 10 in the air to like put me in check with the lieutenant or something like that. And I just took that personally and was like, right, once in a while, I'm gonna try and do a hit on you. And then I put down a creature that I think got up to like 24. No, it got up to 14. It had like 14 power and toughness on it. And Z, you know, did the threat assessment and was like, okay, that is a problem, and did a swords to plowshare, so I was able to get some health, which helped me out because Rook Thar would hit anyone with 6 points of damage if you played a non-creature spell, and I was the only one. I was the only one that, like, you know, decided to take damage from Rook Thar, but thankfully I had like 14 additional health, so that was like easy. You know, you should know that second game you could infinitely Cyclonic Rift. I did not know that. The second game went off differently. The second game we did because Blue brought a deck of plane. Is it called Plane Chase? The thingy-madiggy, the cards with the plane, and you had to roll a dice, and it was like, you know, you did it for free. You do it for, yeah, Plane Chase. Cool. So basically there would be like a deck. I'm trying to understand MTG, but I don't know shit. Oh, fun fact, that boy, you ask many of the MTG players I play with, and they will probably tell you that I don't know how to do shit with MTG. My deck building sense is terrible. My threat assessment is dumb. And I just hit things. Just bam. And sometimes I hurt myself. And then I just make it bad for everyone. But yeah, so we did a game of Plane Chase. Z played with one of Blue decks. Blue had like 20 decks to choose from. I had like 2 precons and 3 like custom. Wait, is that? Hang on. So, Canathus and Xenagos. Yeah, so I had like 5 decks in total. 2 of them were pre-cons, and the other 3 were... 3 of them were blah 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 blah. 3 of them were were like, you know, builds and such like that. Blue took a look at my Xenagos deck like last year, saw my deck, and they were like, the fuck is with this ramp? You are like, you know, gonna be mana starved by turn 3. Let me fix this up for you. This is what you want. Put an elf in there. Get some mana. Get some fetch. And I was just like, cool. I really appreciate this. Gave it a try on, like, you know, Tabletop Simulator. I enjoyed the improvements. Didn't purchase any new cards and put them into the paper deck. Just never did that. So, but yeah. Anyway. Plane Chase. So we did a second game, and we did Plane Chase, where basically there was like a deck of cards in the middle, and then you would be on a plane where there would be either a passive effect or an effect when you did a dice roll, and it was dependent on whether you did a planeswalk as one of the faces or chaos. If it was chaos, an effect of the plane would happen. If you planeswalked, you drew a new card from the deck. And you'd likely either deal with a phenomenon, or you would go to a new plane of existence. Z and we ended up on a plane where if you rolled the chaos, you would get like while you were on that plane, you couldn't lose, and your enemies couldn't win, which was hilarious because Z and I both rolled chaos, and when it was like, yes, gentlemen's agreement, like we're gonna have some absolute fun, but then we planeswalked away into a different plane where instants and sorceries could be copied, and they would pick new targets and such. And I think Z's deck was like a blue-red, and that was its jam, was doing shit and duplicating the effects and doing it again. And Z was able to win the second game, and this was a game we started at like 8 or 9 p.m. We started the MTG night late, and we went on until midnight. It was really fun. I would most certainly do it again. Z had fun with it. Z did have fun with it, and it was like, I know you said that, you know, you were gonna be like, oh, I could have infinitely Cyclonic Rift, but it wouldn't be fun. Or no, wait, you said something. Wait, you said you chose not to do that because that isn't fine. Oh, that isn't fine. Well, anyway, so you were like that, and then it was just like, but Z, you do those things where it's like you have an infinite Cyclonic Rift deck, but then you also have a deck that's like, it doesn't infinitely do stuff as far as I know, but if you have just enough mana, you can hit people for like 36 damage each straight, which was like, granted, you like Gruul, I had no fucking clue how to do that. Actually, no, I wasn't Gruul in the second match. I was trying out the Dragon Precron, so I was actually Wooburg. I was the 5 planes. I was the 5 colors of magic. I was white, black, blue. Wait, white, black, blue, red, green. I was those 5 colors. White, blue, black, red, green. And I kind of understood, like, you know, it was just about, you know, trying to get your dragons out, and, you know, some dragons you could possibly get out cheaper, and then there was a dragon that could have made, you know, more dragons if you were able to do attacks and such, but, you know, it didn't win out. I, you know, had a little bit of trouble with the manas. But it was still fun. The point is we having fun, and I try to match the power level. Power levels, I feel like, is a very difficult sort of mechanic to work with in terms of deck building. Like I am shit with deck building, like, first and foremost. Like, but I still understand like some nuances about the deck building experience. And Blue and Velveto didn't side with me on this, but Magic the Gathering doesn't do the closest they did a good job in was Jumpstart in terms of making the deck building itself fun. Like, because the most common formats you are going to play in MTG is either you play, you know, Commander or Modern or Standard. You either play like one of those kinds of modes, which is like, you know, you build your deck, and half the time you're either you build the deck once and you don't thinking about it, like me and my Gruul, or you build the deck, you keep an eye on all the changes that get made, you see what the saltiest cards are, you check out EDH Rec, you check Scryfall, and you do the edits like every 3 months or so to keep your deck relevant and such like that. I can't do that. Blue can do that. Blue can do that for like 20 plus decks X, but I can't do that at all. And I feel my personal thoughts on MTG is that Jumpstart was a really good, like, sort of, because it does the rule of draft where it's like, oh, you get a pack of cards and you build your deck off of, you know, each pack of cards that you have to like cycle to create and such like that. Because there is there's a bit of skill in, you know, the competitive draft format, but I feel like, you know, draft is probably one of the better experiences in you know, introducing someone to deck building in Magic the Gathering. Is like, yeah, you do your pre-con, you understand like why the pre-con works, you move on over to draft where you're taught, okay, now you want to try and make a deck. Now it may be similar to some of the pre-cons you've played with earlier, but you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to try and, you know, do a painting of blue period where you are limited on your choice of color, and you just have to try and do as best as you can with what you get. And, you know, because that's a lot better experience, and it's a much better like learning curve. It's sort of like, you know, learning, you know, how to play Civ or any of the big strategy games where you have to start with a very narrow, limited pool of resources and techniques before you start, you know, making your toolkit bigger and bigger and bigger. Going from, like, say, pre-con and then going, oh, you can now make upgrades to the pre-con with this entire series of cards is going to be a little bit, you know, executive decision dysfunction. I feel like, you know, I look at it and I'm just sort of like, oh, there's way too many choices and I'd much rather not, you know, fiddle with it and such. But draft decks, I can definitely like jam with, because it's a case of like, look, some of it's going to be jank, but here's the thing is that you're either going to deal with, like, that's when you can start, you know, rather than doing deck building to compensate for the social is going to be agnostic to the deck building, which is, you know, some people might be, you know, hyper competitive in it, which, you know, is probably going to happen if you go to, say, good aims and you go to a draft night and such. But maybe you'll go with a group of friends and you don't give a shit about the competitive aspect. You just build the draft deck and you see how you do compared to your friends in that, and then you play against your friends if you never got a chance to play against them and such. So that was the experience before Jumpstart came along, where it was basically, all right, here's a booster pack with like 15 cards or so, but in the pack it will tell you what the archetype is. And the idea is that you're able to use everything in the archetype, and then you get a second pack, which is another 15 cards, and you combine that archetype. So you create so there's a deck with 2 archetypes. You just need to, you know, fill it in with lands and such like that. I felt like that was brilliant. I feel like that was a nice sort of stopgap between, you know, you've done the draft thingy-majiggy. Now, because then, you know, with Jumpstart, it's like if you were, you know, very responsible, you could probably put the archetypes back into their booster packs or something like that and do the whole thing again. But then you'd have to like keep an eye on a deck list or something like that. Wait, I wasn't supposed to be talking about Magic the Gathering. Excuse me. I was supposed to be talking about my experiences at FurDU. What was my next thing on the list? So Thursday. So pre-registration was a nightmare. Amenities was great. Oh yeah, amenities were great. There was a dry cleaners and there was a pool. Unfortunately, I never went into the pool. I probably should have tried to go into the pool at least once. Not in a fursuit, mind you. I should have, but you know, just at least go into the pool once. Then I did, yeah, liking in plans. MTG with the boys. Yep, talked about that. Friday, finished the registration. I already mentioned that. Picked up not Breath of the Wild. I picked up Tears of the Kingdom. That's what I picked up. Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know why I'm typing this. It's not like you guys are going to see it. MTG, more likely by the sounds of it, but interesting to hear about it. I would have liked to play more Magic the Gathering while I was there. I didn't do a good job in chatting in the groups of being like, oh, hey, like, I'm in this place here. Would you like to join in for a game of Commander or something? Like, I wasn't that great in communicating and such. And plus, I only had, like, one Telegram group. I didn't like, make new friends or reacquaint with, like, you know, with the friends from, like, online and such and be like, oh, is there a Telegram group we can communicate in or something like that? I never did any of that. I never, like, extended the channels of communications that I had. But yeah, okay, so picked up Tears of the Kingdom, met a few more people on the Friday because that was actual registration day. I tried out walking around in my fursuit for the first time on Friday, which was a bit of an experience because I told myself I should try and go to the South Bank Fur Walk at least once before FurDU, but I did not do that. I should have done that at least once just so I can get the first time experience, like, you know, pop the cherry area and doing the whole walking in a fursuit at least once before, you know, going to FurDU, where it would be like the middle of the day kind of stuff. After it was a fun experience being in fursuit. I posed with like different kinds of other furries, or, you know, people wanted to take pictures of me, which was great. I didn't take any pictures myself. Like, I had a selfie stick in my luggage, but I never took my phone out and, you know, put it on the selfie stick to do photos or anything. And I didn't like chase down people to be like, oh, hey, like, send me a copy of that photo to, you know, at GrantZeebs or anything like that. I didn't do any of that. So there's just photos of me in my fursuit just littered around like different, you know, attendees of FurDU. And some of them, like, some people were nice, such as Simon Moo, it was such as Engrel, where they actually, you know, they took a few pictures and they did a Google Drive link of, you know, the photos that they took and shared specifically with me the photos that involved me, which I really appreciated. And yeah, so there were some people like that, which was really great. Did some poses with them, but oh my goodness, after a while, I don't know if it's because of the scrambled eggs that because some people had comments about the scrambled eggs at the the hotel breakfast. There was a breakfast buffet for the hotel every morning, which is great. I didn't have to pay anything for the breakfast hotel or for the breakfast buffet because that was included in my lodging, which is great. So I basically had a free breakfast and I ate like a fucking king. I avoided the scrambled eggs after Friday's breakfast, however, because some people did comment that it made them feel like, you know, a little bit ill and what have you, because after I was fursuiting for what must have been like only an hour, I didn't feel all that well, and I was getting a bit of a headache, and it was like, I think I like took a nap. Hi, Timmy. Just chatting about my FurDU experience. We're only just on to Friday. I got distracted about different subjects and went on to an MTG rant. But yeah, so got a bit of a headache after my fursuit and was like, you know, also a little bit queasy. I took a nap till like 5 p.m. or something like that. And I tried to put the fursuit on again, but I didn't feel like it was going to work out well because, I don't know, just something about my head just didn't feel right. So got into like my normal kind of clothes and I went to like, you know, the local Kohl's Express, got myself some Nurofen, popped that into me to try and like make my head feel better. It felt a little bit better, but not enough for me to put the suit back on in time for Kusaki's DJ set, which was a little unfortunate. Like, Kusaki was the DJ for the opening night. They were first one to play, and I can't remember the genre of music that they said Kusaki did, but like, I wasn't in my fursuit, so I didn't feel like, you know, being out in the front or anything like that. So I was just sort of sitting in the back, just sort of bobbing my head to the beat, just kind of enjoying it and then doing a little bit as a sway. But Kusaki right up at the front, having to be on their deck and such like that, you know, getting the fucking place started and just getting everyone hyped and such. I think Blue was at the front with Z and such. And they were just like, let me see you bounce. Like, let's get ready to jump. Here comes the drop. And it was an experience. And I unfortunately was not able to stick around for the entire thing because the DJing, there's like 3 different DJs. Each of them go on for like an hour. I think at the 30 minutes or 45-minute mark, I unfortunately wasn't feeling all that great in the head while I was listening to Kusaki's music. And I wasn't in fursuit, so I didn't feel really confident sticking around in there for whatever reason. So I decided to go up. I decided to go back up to my my room. 3 hours had passed by the time I had my last Nurofen, so I took another Nurofen and I went to sleep. And I had like a really long fucking sleep, and turned out to be like one of my best sleeps that I've had in like weeks. Because hang on, I have the stats right here. My Friday to Saturday sleep. It's on my phone because I have an app for that. The Friday to Saturday sleep. Here we go. So I went to bed at like I didn't hit the hay until like 9 o'clock, but I didn't wake up until like 7:40, and so that was I got like nearly 10 hours of sleep, or pretty much 10 hours of sleep. 7.5 hours of them were quality sleep. My heart rate did a pretty decent dip. So rather than waking up at like 80 beats per minute, I woke up with I woke up at 77 beats per minute, and I had 4 hours of deep sleep. Amazingly enough, getting medicated on ibuprofen before I went to sleep was somehow a really good sleep for me. I don't know if that's actually what ibuprofen is for, because ibuprofen is like for headache and nausea and like, you know, head things. I don't know if they're meant to help me with my sleep and what have you. The other nights I, you know, barely got the hours of sleep and such like that, but that Friday to Saturday night, I had a really long fucking sleep, which was pretty decent. Saturday, once again, breakfast. had it by myself. I think I sat with a stranger or something like that because I didn't want to eat by myself. But Saturday was a big day because Saturday was the fursuit walk, which, you know, basically because this is the point of FurDU. This is why a lot of people come to FurDU, is because you, at 10 in the morning or something like that, a whole group of us in fursuit, we go for a walk. There's all kinds of volunteers that help us with crossing the road, making sure that we get to where we need to go safely, where we all go for a walk and we make our way to Surfer's Paradise. We make our way to the beach. And once we're all on the beach, we all get together in a group, and someone up on the dunes takes a massive photo. It's a really cool experience because during this fursuit walk, it's like we're out in public, but we're out in public as a very big group, so no one ever feels, you know, like they're gonna get, you know, shanked or bullied by any of the populace unless they wanted to deal with, like, you know, a couple hundred other furries. And you know, we had volunteers who would help us in crossing the road, making sure that none of us had to, like, sprint while we were half blind. So there would be, like, you know, these people in high vis who would stand in the middle of the road once there was room for us to go. So then that way, cars that, you know, stopped for us, you know, the volunteers were able to, like, sort of make them aware that, hey, don't run in just yet. We got people crossing the road and such. And then once enough of us got past, then the volunteers would cut off the furries, and then traffic would resume as normal. It was really great. It was really well organized. The fursuit walk was very well organized, and I was a lot more prepared for the walk itself because I had like a camelback backpack, you know, basically a water container. What I was not prepared for, is it raining? Yes, it's raining. Okay. What I was not prepared for, however, was because they said basically, you know, the event technically starts at 10 o'clock, but we leave at 10:30 sharp. And I was like, cool. I should just make my way down at 9:45 or something like that. I should be able to get down in good time. Elevator con. So everyone was trying to get down to the lobby, and there was like, I was on the 12th floor, so I wasn't really low down where everyone was going to be, you fucked up. Hey, it's not my fuck up. So I was on the 12th floor of like 20, so I didn't get the benefit of, you know, starting early and, you know, having it filled up on the way down. I was very much at the level of, it was very much full by the time it got to me. This happened like 5 times. Where we called for an elevator, we pressed the button, and there was barely any room. So, yeah. So, turns out, like, even though the schedule that they posted on the website said, you know, 10 to 10:30, we leave at 10:30 sharp, some con people were getting the secret message that, you should come down at 9. I didn't get anyone confirmed. I heard this from Blue. I heard only one source because Blue wasn't even at the con hotel for staying. Their fursuit was at the con hotel. They got there at like 8:45 or something. They're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get my suit on, and then I'm gonna come down here for 9 o'clock because they want us to be early. And I'm like, what? But they're telling, like, it's set. They said to get ready by 10 or something or rather. So here I was, like, I didn't, like, confirm my source or anything like that, but, you know, oopsies, I nearly missed out on the fucking fursuit walk, but thankfully, the emergency staircase was available to, you know, from the 12th floor and making our way down to ground floor. Thankfully, it was like 8 steps to go, it was 16 steps of floor, basically. It wasn't like a crazy amount of flights of stairs to go down each floor. I said that they want us around 9 to explain details and gather us up, but it didn't say it in the schedule. I just thought you had the incorrect time because it said 10 in the schedule and in the announcement. I just didn't believe you. There's too many Australians that have bamboozled me in my life and have lied through their teeth with such, like, ease. Point is, though, and even then, like, I was trying to leave, like, before 10 as well, but, you know, elevators were cramped. You knew people who have insider info. Yeah, Blue is much more in tune with all the different furry insight circles than I am. I had two groups. I had the FurDU official Telegram channel, which was basically a Twitter feed. It was very difficult to keep up to date unless you wanted to make it your job just looking at the feed the entire time. Don't recommend it. The FurDU announcements channel was pretty great, but they were sort of an automated system where it was like 10 minutes before the dot saying, "Ah, yes, be ready for this event in this room," which was pretty good. So the announcement channel didn't count as like a furry communication circle. The second group that I was a part of was the MTG group that is, hosted by Z and got like a few other peeps in there. So, which was, pretty good. Those were my only two groups for communication with people I knew at FurDU. Was either the FurDU official channel, which is still going to this day. It is Monday. Everyone has left, but we still have people communicating in there a shit ton amount of time, which is a little bit scary because it makes me think I might miss something important for next year or even for myself. So those are my two groups. Actually, is there anything going off in the MTG group? Magic the group chat. Nope, nothing new's happened. Any whoosies. So those are my two groups. Any whoosies. So I did make it in time, however, for the fursuit walk. I took the emergency staircase to get down there. It didn't take that many stairs, quite frankly. It was 2 flights of stairs to a floor. So basically, it was just 24 flights of stairs to get down to ground. So I made it in time. This is why I did the squats. It's to get that dump truck ass, and I can go up, down, and stairs without much trouble. Even when I was in a fursuit where my foot was basically the radius of a croc. I did it. Me. GrantZeebs. And I made it. And I took part in the walk, which was really great. Because in the walk was when I met Simon Moo. When I met... Hang on, what's their name? Let me get it correctly. Where I met... Arilo. It was when I started meeting a few of the peeps, and it was because I was in fursuit and such, and I had the Himbo shirt on, people were like, waving at me and wanted to take pictures. Actually, hang on a sec. Let me get a picture. Let me demonstrate the zebra in action. Give me a second. Let me demonstrate the zebra in action. Oh, Jesus. There we go. The zebra in action. This is me. Look at this. Look at the Zeebs. This was me at the beach. This was taken by Simon Moo. Simon, thank you for throwing shit at me, Jack. Thank you for... It's Zeebs. Hi there, Gyro. Welcome to the stream. I'm talking about my FurDU experience. I got distracted a few times, but we're finally on to the big Saturday, which was when we actually did the fursuit walk and why you see me in fursuit. Did you see it? Are you seeing it, chat? Are you seeing it? Look at him. 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 So yeah. So that was my Zeebs, which is really cool. That was done by Simon Moo, which I really appreciated. You showed off my muscles, which was really great. I was really worried about my pot belly. And then the oh so important, hang on a second. Donk. Where is it? Dink, donk, dink, donk. The oh so important. Nope, that's not it. That's just a different muscular pose. We need... Where the fuck is it? Where the fuck is my... You know what? I'm just gonna delete this image. And then... Oh, you took the group pic. How did I get this photo then? Because... Oh. Dab! Look at the zebra dabbing. Who took that photo? Ah, yes. Thank you, Arilo. Sent me a few pics. Thank you so much. I was asking about that in the Telegram. I really appreciate it. So I was able to meet Arilo while they were in fursuit, which was pretty cool. Everyone's got a weapon. Yeah, everyone's got a weapon. Didn't you get the memo? So hang on a sec. Let me see if I can get that image onto my stream. Ow! Why you gotta throw weapons at me, Jack? This is why you don't have any weapons. Because you keep throwing them away. Give me a minute. I need to get my image. I need to get... So... Some of this is silly. I love it. Alright. Hang on a second. So... Ding. Alright. So... Thank you for the Hyper Himbo gyro. Also, where is my image? There is my image. And bam! Look at me. That's me with Arilo. So thank you so much, Arilo, for the photos. I really appreciate it. There's me showing off my muscles once again. This wolf is in absolute shock of the sheer size of this unit. No, they ain't. Arilo. Ah, okay. Your weapon privileges are revoked. From my cold, dead hands. Anywhoosies. I really should have had, like, a foam gun or something like that. Something silly. But, yeah, I didn't have any cool props with me. But, yeah, I love how that's my go-to pose a lot of the time, is just flexing my arms, like, just being like, yes, muscles. Like, that's the figurine up there. That's the photo there. It's in a lot of photos where my first pose is to, like... you know, present with the arms and shit. So that's pretty, that's kind of funny realizing that. Wait, someone just told, what? Looks like the shadow of a what? 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 Hang on. Backlight photos. Give me a second. You are shooketh? Not to worry. I am finding photos. But yeah, so the fursuit walk was a lot of fun. Bumped into a number of people, got my picture taken, which was really great. Had a nice chat with some peeps, and after about an hour there, you know, I was sipping through my camel backpack quite a few times, and I went back to the con hotel and got out of my fursuit and such like that, because I probably should have kept it on, quite frankly. Oh, geez, nah! I probably should have kept it on because one of the panels that I took part in was the Twitch meetup. This was organized by Mutasaur and Sylvixen. Unfortunately, Sylvixen couldn't attend it. Ended for last minute thing, or not last minute, for a few months ago thingamadiggies. Who did that? Who stole my shirt? Gyro stole my shirt. And yes, they are really big because I'm hyper himboed right now. They're going to be absolute fucking massive dish plates because of being hyper himboed, hence why I'm covering myself. There we go. Now my elbows are sitting on the thingy-madiggies. Stop! Anywho, so they're clipping through. No, they're fine. They are fine. So yeah, so the Twitch meetup was organized, and I wanted to take part in that because not can the Hyper Himbo be stacked asking for a friend. No, Hyper Himbo can't be stacked, unfortunately. So where was I in my train of thought? So yeah, so there was the Twitch panel. Can you tell me, please, is the 3070 good too for graphics? Yeah. Like, you can go to, you know, TechSpot or what's the channel called? Like, there's a number of YouTube channels that do a discussion about different graphics cards and such like that. Where's 37? Oh, you mean the 3070M? Yeah, no, that should be fine. If you're gonna be playing only on laptop, just recognize the limitations on playing on a laptop, okay? Where you're more likely gonna have that plugged in all the time.
Young Jack Raiden paid me to say begin the battle. The time has come to fight for your values.
Oh, because you're holding a sword. That's why. That's kind of funny. Oop, hang on. So yeah. So at the Twitch meetup, so that was organized by Mutasaur mostly near the end there. They had like a big circle. They had a big circle of chairs and what have you for everyone to sit at, which I had quite a bit of fun on because, you know, I already knew peeps such as Mutasaur, Sylvixen, Kusaki, Blue, Peppa, Mega, Zephora. So I didn't sit with them, but I sat in a different corner of the circle and talked to some different peeps. So I talked to someone named Atio at first, this cool bird. Actually, hang on a second. I should probably shout out because, you know, hopefully I'm spelling that correctly. I want to know, is the 3070 laptop powerful enough? It is going to be as powerful as you can get as far as laptops go. I can tell you that much. Wow, you're huge. Never mind. Yes. Anywho, so yeah, so where was I in my train of thought? So yeah, so there was like a number of different streamers who were there. Some of them I did obviously recognize because, you know, Mutasaur organized it, and, you know, a lot of Aussie furs that were that were like, you know, doing art and what have you. They were most often than they were more often also streamers, as well as, you know, working in the dealer's den or something like that. And so it was interesting seeing some of the Australian furs who were just streaming, such as myself, which was pretty decent. And, you know, some of it stuff was a little bit messy. I'm gonna be real with you, because, you know, we had the time of, you know, sitting down and, you know, talking with one another, but it was all in one really big circle. Like I think there was like 30 to 50 chairs there or something like that. Like, it was a fairly big circle. And so it wasn't easy to be like one-on-one chatting and such, but there came you sort of broke into laugh when you saw them deflate. Not to worry. It's kind of funny. So it was a really big circle. So you couldn't do like the proper one-to-one chatting and such, and there was almost a bit of a QA that was about to happen. And there was about a QA that almost started happening, but that only happened because there were technical difficulties at first when we went.
That boy underscore 97 thinks you should do 20 squats.
Fine, I'll do my 20 squats. So because we had there was like some easy handball questions, like, oh, who streams with a 3D VTuber? Who streams with a 2D VTuber? And the PNGs. Or, you know, then there's Inverted Bolt, where they stream IRL, which is crazy. Don't know how such a man has such confidence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why? What are you talking about? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Thank you for the 20 squats.
Stretching time sponsored by Gyro Dragoner.
Good timing. Stretching. Do you know benchmark websites where you can compare between GPUs? Not at this moment, right now, no. Why are you asking? Like, Why? We need a hydrate? I think there is a hydrate. Did I get rid of it? There it is.
Glug, 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 glug.
What are you, a cop? No, it's just, can laptops handle Monster Hunter Rise? If the Switch can, I'm pretty sure a laptop can. Just want to know, will a 3070 be enough? I don't know. Your 3090 is too expensive. Yeah, it's really fucking expensive. Here's why I got a 3090, is because not only do I do streaming right now, but I also do some 3D nonsense. And I decided to go with a really strong CPU, a really strong GPU, because sometimes I am going to be playing video games that are going to be a little bit intense on, you know, performance and such like that. But I also want to be able to have OBS use the NVENC encoding to, you know, transcode my stream and send it off to Twitch. I am not a good base plate for the VRAM for Blender rendering. Yes, Gyro, thank you. That's kind of like the major reason why I went for it, is because the insane amount of VRAM. The 3090 is not a gaming GPU. The 3090 is a Titan card, basically. It is more of a workhorse than a video game card. But they gave it the 30 number because they, you know, wanted it to be part of that, you know, back in the day when we had 1080s, 2080s, and all those kinds of numbers. They made it seem like the next level in the sort of the GeForce gaming sort of sphere, rather than leaving it as a Titan card, where the Titan card is seen as entry-level powerhouse before you go to, you know, actual workstation cards such as the what's it called? There's the GLs and such. CUDAs. No, not CUDAs, because that's the thing. Anywho, can I do the same work as yours? I mean, streaming on VTuber Twitch stuff. Yeah? I'm just going to have to be real with you, YY. Like, I'm not going to be able to explain that at this present moment. I'm just like gonna be tricky too when I'm trying to, you know, like I know I go on tangents and all this kind of nonsense and such, but like I'm talking about my time when I was doing anything but Ada cards. Thank you. But yeah, I'm talking about a time when I was doing anything but streaming at the point. Anywhoosies. I wanted to do this. Ignore the zebra in the background. He's going to go away as I now do this. Can you guys still... All right, let's see what happens when I hit play.
Oh my...
So this is... Someone did a thingy-majig. Actually, I should probably... Let me see if I can... Should I... Actually, yeah. I'm going to resize this. Oh, that does not resize it. Unless... Oh, that's game source. Okay. Lol. Okay. Close that. All right. So this is... I'm going to shrink this down so it's like this because, you know, I don't want to be in the way of the PNG tumor. Hi there, Bookie. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're doing all right. So one of the things that happened during the Twitch panel is, you know, they had a compilation of clips. This like interrupted like a Q&A session at the Twitch panel. Like when people had questions about like, oh, why don't we use Streamlabs, or when it was called Streamlabs OBS back in the day, or, you know, and all that kind of such. It's going very well, Bookie. And Mudasaur, you know, asked a lot of streamers, hey, send us your favorite clips or clips that seem relevant to your stream, and we'll get a compilation together. So Mudasaur grabbed all the clips, and then Kusaki was the person responsible for compiling all these different streamers. You'll notice it in the top left. I'm just gonna hide the let me see if I can... I'm going to hide the intro fighters for a quick moment as we have this running, which was the compilation that they did. Oh my god, all of them? It's only 10 minutes. It's not that long. There are just chatting streams I've seen where people just go on for like an hour on YouTube watching cooking channels and such. Gotta be off for a while I unpack. Fair enough, Erilo. Erilo, you just got back from FurDU, no doubt, and you've got some unpacking to do. I've done that already, but I understand, and I hope you have a good evening. So, this was some of the peeps that have been able to submit their videos and got it compiled. The first one is Arcaligo. You'll see it in the top. You'll see it in the top left. What their names are. The chicken just stuck in the sharpening.
Oh, that kind of looks a bit cursed.
Amazingly enough, didn't get sliced.
Plug's Toy House.
Pogs? Oh my god, did you just say Pogs, Ari?
No.
I said Plugs.
Oh.
I will not say Pogs.
I thought you did.
I just said it.
Your best gremlin impression.
Okay, that was pretty funny. Ari Jack TV. I'm just gonna quickly grab. Oh, cool. The source is still playing there. All right, I am going to quickly check out. So ARY Jack TV. Actually, I can probably do a shout out while I. Hopefully they're still doing stuff. Alright, Jack TV. Yep, cool. And then shout out. They watching Kitchen Nightmare videos by any chance? Oh, probably. I'm not. Oh shit, this streamer's in Brisbane as well. God damn. That's surprising. MA15 mature. So they're like a dragon? Neat. I'm gonna give them a follow. Alright, here we go.
Is that good enough?
Good gremlin. Ah, yes.
Sure.
This mouse.
I'll name one that. We'll go with the dumb standard bearer. He's
I did not know
dumb, so
that
we'll
their
call him
name
that.
was
Eugenus.
Like, for some reason, even though it says Aussie Griff in the top left, this is Mega's husband at this point now, and they just constantly use the name Dave. There was no indication of this. They've used that name in all these different kinds of streams, and they were talking about this person. I was like, who? And they're like, Dave the Red. I'm like, I have never heard of such a streamer. And they're like, look up this person. And they gave me the link to Aussie Griff, and I was like, oh, I know, I've seen this rap before. This one that's like stuck in the burger. And they're like, yeah, that's Dave. And I was just like, what the fuck?
There we go. Just for you.
Huge.
He's the butt of all of our jokes.
Aussie Rusty. Are they streaming? Nope,
Don't do it.
Oh, they're going a long way. Fun fact, if you like expend all your air while in screaming on your way to the fall, you're guaranteed to die. If you waste your entire breath, if like the amount of time you are falling, you can expend your entire breath, you are most likely going to instantly die when you hit whatever surface.
So I'm just gonna carefully.
That's not careful! Don't!
Alright. We got up.
Over the top.
None of that was careful. None of it. Oh my gosh. Just the absolute craziness.
Alright. Alright.
Huh? Oh yeah, that boy. Hang on a sec. I can zoom in for this one. Fun fact. If you are, falling and you're wondering, like, if you're falling such a distance that you scream, you use out like all your breath to scream, and you catch your breath to scream again, you are going. If you hit the ground, if you hit whatever surface, it's gonna kill you. If it takes, more than one breathful of screaming. But yeah, that was Bird Bloom. I'm already following them, but they do art. They did one of my Zeebs, which is really nice. Makes sense, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. It makes total fucking sense. All right, moving on.
We got up.
Over the top.
Bloop.
But
I'm behind.
oh, my controller just died. No, no, my controller.
Oh, the idiot.
The punishment has finally happened.
Killjoy cramming.
No.
I'll get you after this. Thank you.
Oh. Normally it
Before
comes
it's
back.
not working.
The timing was the worst part. Yeah.
And it's happening.
Oh!
It's happening.
Blue.
Trumped.
Hi, I'm Grant.
Well, now I'm in my maid outfit. Well done, Scandy. Well done.
Have a good day. Oh, a package? A package? A package? A package for me? Is it a package for me? Whoa! Yes, thank you.
An absolute fucking gremlin.
Yay.
Do the whole Spirited Away faceless thing and be like,
Hi Siri, how you doing? And hi Twisted Wolf. No, not Siri.
Not too shabby. Thanks for asking.
Shut the fuck up.
Don't say that. There we go. I like that I can re-queue Cookie for Kahlua. Hey, wait a second. Where's the anvil? Kahlua, when they were visiting my stream, did that all the time. Oh, this guy. This guy is the IRL furry streamer. They just do flips whenever the fuck they want. Watch this. Look at that. They just did their own. They just did a flip in their fucking games room. They just like went. Just hang on. Maybe I can do a flip. Give me a second. I'm gonna do a flip, chat. I'm gonna do a flip. All right. So first and foremost, I need. Dink, copy, paste, camera 5. All right, so wait, why is my camera not? Oh, because I don't have the nodes. Hang on a second. Duplicate. Camera 5. Duplicate. All right. Camera 5. There we go. All right. You ready for this, chat? You ready for this? I'm about to do a flip. There, look at that. I'm gonna do it again. You ready? Bam. There. Oh, I'm backwards. Hang on. Let me do it again. Boom. There we go. Amazing. Whoop. Pew. Boom. Boom. There we go. All right. And then let's see. Actually, let me see if I can do like a spin and then slow it down. There we go. Aren't I just fucking amazing, chat? Anywhoosies, that is Inverted Bolt. They are one of the few streamers that is a furry that it does it IRL. That is Inverted Bolt right there, and that fursuit head in the bottom right that you can also see behind his chat on the bookshelf. That's his persona. There's Kusaki. Also, I forgot, I needed to do a shout out for inverted bolts. Are they playing right now? No, I don't think they are.
Prepare for burial.
No, they're not playing
What's
right now.
going on? Everything's going on.
They're just getting whacked.
Hey, how do I pick up the body?
I can't do. I thought I could. You know what they say about big beaks? Little hands. But I guess, like, snapper. What do we call this, then?
Beans! Big beans! He's a cute cat.
I'm sorry,
He's a
I'm
puma.
like this. Big beakus.
She's not sorry at all.
No bitches?
The Megamind is just...
No bitches?
I do not need to prove myself to you. I don't need to prove if I have bitches or not.
No bitches?
I actually got her, like, plush.
We're watching
I could be like,
be an absolute
like
Spyro
I could be
pro
punching it
and
right
not
now.
get this chat.
You say that as I fall into the water. The timing.
Oh wow.
Throwing flashbang.
Ow.
Bye!
Because they did the funny helicopters.
Strange lady, she made me nervous.
Oh yeah, this is Mudasaur. So,
Fuck!
oh my god! Mudasaur organized this, and Mudasaur, she's responsible for like most of the con badges you will see at FurDU. And then Skooma is being an absolute funny.
My 500 combo! My 500 combo! Dude, this guy sucks. Holy, oh my god, he's a moron, loser sucking. Oh my god, I hate him. Holy dude, he's stupid. He's stupid. Me, oh my god, dude, he is like the whole clown. Holy dude, like actually, this dude, he sucks. He can go. Hate him. I hate him.
Yeah.
Puffin just swears on their stream. That profanity filter thing is an edit. I asked them about that because I thought they did something really clever in OBS where they had the blurting being done like as a trick where, oh, if the translator in OBS picks up on a swear word, it will insert the bleep, or they insert a sound, and they just made it so that the sound could only be heard on the second audio track, which is the VOD track. Nope. They didn't do that. I thought they did. I thought they were an absolute fucking like machine of a streamer, but they just edited their clip afterwards. And then this here's Natsu.
Just someone's fetish. God damn it, Wolf. Speaking of fetish. Oh. Oh no, not the timing on that.
Oh my gosh, Natsu, you okay?
Hips.
Oh,
Don't
no.
you start.
Look at this. Look at this femboy.
Men, disgusting. It's why I need to blow them up. There we go.
Men are apparently disgusting.
Drown, I say.
Clip it.
You beauty! Wait, that's the wrong word. You ripper! There you go.
Chat. Oh, he's heading to the slide.
Uh-oh.
He's heading to the slide, chat.
Here we go.
Oh, the sun's coming out.
I've seen this 100 times, and it's still amazing when he does it.
Whoa!
Yes!
Whoa!
Look at him go! Look at him
Slide
go!
moment. Let's fucking go!
Oh no!
Walkies and bully mode.
Ah,
Walkies
yes.
and bully mode.
Sylvixen.
But if I walk away from the bullying, I can't defend myself. And you know what? Instead of walkies, I'm just gonna crawl. I'm just gonna crawl. You guys just hit me with pigeons. I'm crawling away. I'm crawling.
Just absolutely break them. Do it.
Everything is this way. I guess I do have to go through that door.
This is Scandy. So I've met them several times, and several times I will just, you know, I'll approach them and be like, "Hi, I'm Grant."
Pepper holds up to their promise.
Welcome to VR chat. You will never get more than 3 viewers on the VR chat. Welcome to VR chat. I'm a fucking crazy boy.
What is going on here?
I'm talking from experience. I have experience with VR chat and live streaming it.
You cannot kill me. I have some humor.
More than 3 viewers on a VR chat live.
Take the plate.
Oh, this was someone I wanted to follow.
No!
Spotty.
Get off! Come back here!
Hopefully they're
I
still.
got mesmerized by Spotty freaking out.
They look like they were having fun. It looked fun.
In the air. Put your hands up 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 in the air. Air. Hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air.
I'm gonna go quickly chuck some food in the oven.
Oven the cold food.
Yes.
Not the oven, the cold food.
Hot food. Fuck, what does it say again?
Oven the cold food, oven out, hot eat the food.
I love how you both actually have it completely
Fucking
memorized.
energy.
Why do they call
That
oven
chaotic
in the cold
energy.
food? I'll bet hot eat the food.
I'm going crazy! Holy shit!
Ooh.
Where am I going?
That's a terrible accident. Oh yeah, and this
Well,
is
I
Evan. This
don't
is one of the
think-
peeps. This is one of the peeps I played MTG with.
Me standing at my computer.
And there's the doggo.
There you go.
There's the fire doggo.
It looks so stupid. Ah! Where did that piano come from, though?
Piano movers. They just don't know how to properly move things.
Fucking dead.
You should be really mindful of the piano movers. And then, hang on, let me just stop it right. Let me edit it by Kusaki. And then shout out to Kusaki as always, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have this compilation. So yeah, so that was the clips that we saw on Saturday at the Twitch meetup, which was fairly fun. So, all right, I can press F11 to get rid of that. I can move this back here. So yeah, so that was the experience at the Twitch meetup. So I had some pretty decent fun with meeting up with like maybe one or two of the new peeps that were there. But some of the other peeps I know had one or two of their it's the first Twitch meetup. So there was definitely, much like this con being at an entirely different hotel, there was obviously going to be teething problems. But I think it was still a very good start of being able to be like, hey, Twitch people can meet up at FurCon or this Furry Down Under. And, given the number of people that came to this Twitch meetup, it was, I believe it was a mixture of the Twitch streamers and non-streamers as well. It just, had a little bit of jank to it, but I reckon it could do well. So if I was able to take part in the setup process, I feel like it could go sort of one of two ways. one of two ways, because it looked like it was going to do the start of a meetup at first, and then it kind of like started tilting in towards a panel. I feel like it could go one of two directions with that. You could either say commit to it being a meetup. So instead of having like a giant circle of seats and such, maybe go for, you know, breaking all the seats up into smaller groups and have it so that you have your you could probably have like maybe because they're at this meetup, there is obviously bigger streamers than there are obviously some streamers that are bigger and some streamers that are smaller, and then, you know, people that are just there because they want to see their Twitch streamer and such, and they just didn't have a really good spot on knowing when the Twitch streamer was going to be in a spot. So you could probably, rather than having like one massive like circle of chairs, could possibly have smaller groups of chairs, like maybe in groups of 3 to 5 or maybe 8, and make it so it's actually a meetup, and have it so that, you know, the bigger streamers didn't just congregate together, because, you know, Kusaki, Mega, Mixie, Zephora, they all know, and Z, they already know each other and such, and them sticking together and such, you know, yeah, they want to hang out and such like that, but some people might feel, you know, a little bit intimidated in trying to, you know, maybe go up to them and such like that. That's why I didn't stick around with them. I went to an entirely different group of people because I didn't feel very confident in going to their little circle, and I kind of also, you know, I wanted to do the meetup like, you know, a meetup. So they could go that direction. They could make it a little more like a speed dating sort of thing where, you know, you get different kinds of walks of Twitch streamers and such like that coming together, and just having, because like they set aside like, I think it was like 2 hours, an hour and a half of time, and that is a lot of time to just converse with people. I feel like you could have very well have like, granted it would take a lot of planning, but I would definitely want to help out if I had the opportunity of helping out. We could either go in that direction, or the other direction is making it more of a panel, which in that case, then you go down the route of, okay, here is, you know, here's the big desk at the front with your 3 to 5 streamers that you are here to see. Like, you know, obviously everyone wanted to see Mutasaur, everyone wanted to see Kusaki, Zephora, and then, you know, you add in 2 up-and-coming streamers such as Blue Foxy and Icy, who, you know, has been moderating for a number of them, and, you know, would have, you know, been rising up and improving and such like that. Or add in, say, a Spotty or Ari Jack. Like add in like a sort of fresh sort of streamer. Like, obviously you'll have to vet him or something and just give him an invite of like, hey, we'd like you to be on this panel. So then that way, as a more recent streamer who with a much smaller base, maybe you can, you know, share with us your insights, your stories. And that would basically be the point of the panel, is you'd get your 3 to 5 streamers, each of them telling them like telling everyone like a really quick story, and, you know, something with like, oh, this is what I tried doing one time, this is the successes, these are the failures, and this is something I wanted to know later, and then opening it up for a QA. Like, you can go one of those 2 directions, I feel. And I feel like the Twitch meetup overall is an awesome sort of thing. I reckon it would be really good.
Stretching time sponsored by Sky.
Did you see it?
Did I see what? Hi there, Sky. Welcome to the stream. Stretching. So yeah, there was like all sorts of people at the Twitch meetup. And sure, there were softball questions of like, oh, why don't you use Streamlabs OBS? Because the obvious answer is that they're not that great.
97 thinks you should do 20 squats.
You've always been here just distracted. Well, that's why I said welcome back. All right, 20 more squats because that boy demands it. Alrighty then. Here we go. Yeah. Yep. Here we go. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Thank you for the 20 squats. Thank you for the pec dance as well, Gyro. All right. So yeah, so I like the Twitch meetup. I feel like it could be really good. It might be a little bit bigger if, or not bigger. I really hope it could be, you know, I hope it continues. Like, cause it has like good groundwork considering the Australian furry streamers that came there that were featured. Because, you know, you had Mutasaur, obviously, you had Zephora, who's partner, Mega is partner as well. You had a wide berth of, you had a wide berth of Twitch streamers there who were either partner, shoo-ins to being partner, you just needed to give them another year or two, and then up-and-coming, you know, affiliates, and then just casual affiliates. Like, you know, I would put myself as a casual affiliate, which is a very broad category because there can be casual affiliates where it's just like, oh, they do their streaming like once in a while and they may not do any big improvements. They may just, you know, play on their PlayStation and, you know, do their thing. And then you have, you know, the affiliates that are always wanting to do improvements and doing extra stuff, but they know it's, you know, a hobby. It's not meant to take over their job or anything like that. Because I feel like unless you get to partner levels like Mega and Zephora, who have diversified their income, I hope they've diversified they should have. I think they have diversified their income because Mega and Zephora are both artists. So I'm pretty sure they have like a storefront and what have you. But yeah, so the Twitch meetup I feel like could be really cool if they either side more into the meetup part, which is, hey, we're all, you know, fans of Twitch streamers, or maybe we're Twitch streamers ourselves. Let's give an opportunity to, you know, break up the normal communication channels and have people talk to those you wouldn't normally have. So, because, you know, some people may not have an opportunity to talk to Mega or Mixie or Kusaki and such, and this would have been their best chance to do it. Or you go down the route of making it a panel, which is, you know, sure, they still want their opportunity to like talk to Zephora, Kusaki, Mutasaur, Mega, or whoever, but you do it as like you came there to, you know, ask your questions and what have you, and they do their best to answer and, you know, give you maybe a bit of story and insight in what it's like to be a Twitch streamer, especially if you're coming in there, you know, wanting to do your own thing as well as a Twitch streamer, and you want to be like, oh, hey, like, where do you find success? Where do you find failure? Why aren't you, you know, as popular as Tyler1 or something like that? Which would be good. Gosh, imagine if Tyler1 got a VTuber. Actually, has Tyler1 gotten a VTuber? I don't think he has. Tyler1 VTuber. No, it looks like he hasn't. All right, well, yeah, so he hasn't done. So yeah, so that was my Saturday. Dinner was a bit of a smorgasbord of craziness, but, you know, got some dinner, went home early, had a great conversation with Blue and Velveta, which was really nice. But then the zipper in my backpack broke, which wasn't too great. So now I had Sunday with a backpack that didn't want to properly close. So I had to be very mindful about the, you know, what I was carrying and such like that. So, but yeah. Sunday, boring morning, much lower stakes. Decided to, I checked out the dealer's den like one last time, and you know, I'm gonna be real with you. Sylvixen, fucking amazing Silver Tongue trader. They do their booth and what have you, and they're selling their pins, their stickers. They're doing a fairly good job with that. I'm interested in a sticker. I go for a Lelouch. Yes, I go for a Lelouch because, you know, Wolf Boy, kind of cool. And during that time that I'm buying a Lelouch sticker, they have a Mega plush. They like Megazarts, the cat. They have the plush, and apparently they had like the last one or something. Like that, I think that's how she described it to me. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get it. Because now I'm gonna have the Mega plush and I can do the TikTok thing of like just squeezing it real hard or punching it and then just throwing it across the room and shit. And during that time, when I was buying the Mega plush, they were like, would you also be interested in a lovely little frog? So so that Sylvixen, that Silver Tongue folks, they went and they got me good. They got me to purchase a lot of things at their booth. The cheeky folks. So yeah, good on them. So now I have a Mega plush, a few stickers, and I went to Pona's little booth, and I got myself a little colorful doodle. I got this boy. Hang on, let me see if I can move it in here without it breaking. Nope, because it's not at a format that's going to work, because it's a HEIVC. I need to change it into a PNG or something. One moment, chat. PNG. And straight to the downloads. Okay, start. Oh my gosh, why does it... There we go. It gone up from like whatever size to like a full-on... Alright, and then... It's probably going to be a really big... You better be off to bed at 3 a.m. and you need to be up at 6:30 a.m. Oh, that is tough. Have an awesome stream. Not to worry, Gyro. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for listening to me for the last 2 hours. I greatly appreciate it. This... Hang on. This is what Pona drew for me. Look at this little boy. He's just a little guy. He's just a silly little guy with his little tongue out. Look at him. He's just like... Beep.
Did you see it?
Blip. Just a little guy. Holy shit, that's cute. Yeah, so Pona did that. Let me see if I can find... So I can type in their name correctly. Hang on. P-O-N... Hopefully I typed that in. Oh, it's Fabu Pona. That's why. Okay. Exclamation. So that was done by Pabu Fona. There we go. So yeah, so they did that fun little doodle for me, and I was able to pick it up. Creamy Bandage, thank you for the follow. I greatly appreciate it. I'm just getting up to like the end of, you know, the just chatting section of my stream about, you know, how my time at FurDU went over the week. So thank you for the lurk, by the by, Angrel. Finally done with work, so you're gonna make some dinner. Not to worry. So yeah, it's so cute. I'm gonna have to post on Twitter of like, look at this little boy, look at his little boy. So yeah, so that was what I did on Sunday. Is I did my last minute dealer's den, checking out all the different products, picking up some stickers, some commissions that I got done. I didn't realize how quickly Fabu Pona was going to be doing all those doodles. It was very impressive, and I really appreciate the work that he did. I stuck around for the closing ceremony, where they did an announcement that they were introducing a new super sponsor tier. Hello there. Hi there, bestest boy. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, so Furry Down Under finished up on Sunday. They announced that they were going to do like they were going to do a new higher super sponsor tier. They haven't picked a name yet. They were like super sponsor or maybe Supuwu sponsor. So the oo changes into uwu. They've still not voted on that, but I think it's really funny if they do super sponsor or wait, super sponsor. Somewhere they're going to put the uwu in super sponsor. And so that was happening. And then the chairperson for the committee, Foxy Malone, was stepping down. They've been chairperson for like 6 years. They've been volunteering for 10 of those. They've been around for a while, and they were responsible for, you know, being able to, you know, get us into hotels and such along with the staff. It was really impressive. Don't know who's going to replace them and such. I decided to leave after the closing ceremony.
Sir Dragonx88 paid me to say R.I.P. boiling water, you will be missed.
That's a good joke. That's a good joke. So yeah, so I tried organizing a dinner. It fell through. Joined in with Blue on getting pizza from a wall. That was an experience. That was a crazy experience. And got a call from my mom that evening, and then there was stuff that was going off at home, and I decided rather than spend the Sunday night in the hotel and, you know, either rush back home with public transport or take the Uber in the morning and barely have, you know, free time for myself today, I decided to get home last night. So I didn't stick around for the final DJ night or anything like that. I just went straight away home after it. So, and I don't feel too bad about that. Like it's not the worst sort of, you know, con leave I've done. Like back when in my first convention, I left like Sunday morning last time. I didn't want to stick, like, because I just, you know, the last time I went, I didn't go with friends. I didn't have any plans or anything like that, and I just felt like really depressed and such. But this time around, there was a lot more fun because there was a few friends I was able to hang out with. Some of the, like, a lot of the times trying to do plans didn't work out because, you know, I am terrible at communication and, you know, all that jazz. So it was like, you know, I was always, you know, playing on the back foot when I was there, but I really enjoyed being able to, you know, meet up with people like Erlo, Simon Moo, and what have you, and such. So that was pretty nice. But I just wanted to go home Sunday night, so I did. I checked out of the hotel, got in a car, and an hour or so later, I was home, and I found at my doorstep the CPU that I had gotten through Throne. Like, the completion was done all the way back in March. I checked in May, like the day I left, to see like, oh, is it going to be delivered while I'm at FurDU? Nope, didn't say it would. It said, oh, we're still processing it. It hasn't been shipped. And they thought it wasn't going to arrive until like the 25th. That was a lie. But, you know, so I came home Sunday night and there was an Amazon package with my CPU in it. So I was able to spend my Monday relatively productive, actually, because I went to bed on the Sunday night, the normal times I go to sleep, like 9:30 p.m. or something, woke up at my normal 6:30 time, did my chores, and I was halfway through like my vibe of getting ready for work, despite the fact I made Monday my day off. It wasn't until I was in the shower that I was like, hang on, I'm still on break. I can do other things. And so I did. Just the Joel zone, just crunching about. Yeah. So I was able to do some additional things, such as I put the new CPU in my machine, and I totally forgot. I've been leaving intro fighters running. Look at Bestest Boy. Couldn't beat Sir Dragon. So yeah, so I have actually left. So I've put my new CPU in. Normally, around this time, my CPU is 85 or it's like in the high 90s normally, especially when I play a video game. Now, or even when I tried toning everything down, it would be maybe the high 70s. Now, however, 50%. Even with Chrome running doing its thing, it's only 50%. My OBS is using the most amount of the CPU. That's to be expected. But it's only using 10%. So now, sure, 10% was the last amount it was using last time, but all the other applications like VC Face is using less than 10%. The Leap Motion, Intro Fighters, the Vignon, on all those programs, they were using 10% previously as well, but now they're using like 5%. They're using half as much resources, or percentagely half as much resources, which is a good thing because it means that with the bigger CPU, and now it's the GPU is no longer being bottlenecked by the CPU, which is really nice, and it means that I'm more likely able to play some much bigger games. You wondered why you look so smoothly today? Aw. Thank you. Look at this. The only jank is in me actually moving my head. Let me see if I can... Look at the smoothness. So yeah, so that's now thanks to a CPU where on this screen, I'm only using half the CPU right now, which is really great because it means that I'm more likely able to play PC games in the future and not run into the bottlenecking issue that I had, back in Resident Evil 4 Remake or Dying Light 2. Like, there's probably going to be a whole slew of games I can play now where I'm not going to have that issue, which will be great. So yeah. So I was able to get that done. I got myself a new backpack for work to replace the one with the broken zippers. And I went and got myself like a nice new one because this previous backpack I had since like 2013 or 2011. I've had it for like a good 10 years and it was like flaking away and such at the bottom, but then the zipper broke for the laptop and I was like, that's not gonna do. So I went and got myself a new backpack. It's still a black backpack like the previous one, but this one, it can hold a 17-inch laptop, which is great. It has, it's a little more compact as well, but I can unzip it to, expand it out. And it has a convenient USB port on the outside. So if I have a battery pack, I can plug in the battery pack on the inside of the bag, and then I can have a charger with that's connected to the USB part of the bag. So that's cool. I like it. I thought it was really cool, and they say it's like really popular with like airplane carry-on as well, which I think is really good. So I'm really pleased for that. So yeah. And that's Monday. That's now. We are Where's this? Now. Ow. When? Just then. And how long? You just missed it. Really? How? What's now? What's this? Now. Hi there, Scruffy Hatch. Welcome to the stream. I'm finishing up on like my little just chatting about my experiences at FurDU and such. Overall, great time. Was able to meet up with a few peeps that I was hoping to meet up with. I met up with a few peeps that were excited to see me as well, such as Simon Moo, Arlo, and a few others. People took photos. I didn't take any photos myself, so I'm going to have to scavenge for that. It was a pretty fun experience, and I very much enjoyed when... Oh, I forgot to mention, Sunday. I just basically played Tears of the Kingdom Sunday, like, morning/afternoon, and I, quite frankly, if I had a personal laptop, I probably would have tried to find a way to stream Tears of the Kingdom that Sunday. But I didn't, because I'm an idiot. So yeah. I put in a note of closing thoughts. My first one is, would I go again? I don't know. Like, because all the positive stuff I had there were some parts that I didn't really touch upon, which were the feelings of boredom I had when I wasn't doing all that stuff, because an entire day is a lot of time, and a lot of the people that I wanted to meet were busy meeting other people as well, or they were in the dealer's den busy, you know, selling their wares and such. So then that way, you know, the fact that they went to the Gold Coast and paid for their registration and such meant that they were also able to recoup the cost with selling their wares and such. So that was something. So like during that time, I just had a tough time clicking with some people. Like, I knew that's going to be a problem for like me personally, and I had this weird thought that I thought like, oh, so long as there's people, you know, expecting me to be there, it's going to be a little bit better. But it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't, you know, a huge leap. It didn't solve all my problems. The things that I wish I did in 2021 are still the things I wish I did this year, 2023, which was, you know, have more peeps to look forward to meeting with, organize times to hang out with them, like playing MTG, going to dinners and such, and not being, you know, very flaky with them, or, you know, not communicating with them properly, because, you know, just pointing at someone and going, blue, is not good communication. You need to, like, actually chat with them. You need to, you know, actively listen and be like, hey, what are you doing? What are your thoughts on dinner? And hey, I want to do this. Do you think you would enjoy that as well? Can I put you down or something for a yes, or, you know, and then gather your maybes and then suss out. Like, I couldn't do that stuff when I was there. I should have, but I didn't. And that's why, you know, if I would go to FurDU again is a bit of a maybe. I don't know if I would go next year. Thank you for the 69 bits. Thank you. Thank you, bestest boy, for the 69 bits. So yeah. My second point, would I fursuit more? Absolutely. Now that I have like a duffel bag to hold my fursuit instead of like a box, I feel a little more confident in being like, if I want to, because I think tomorrow South Bank is doing a fursuit walk, but I forgot to do the laundry for the fursuit itself. I would very much like the idea of going to the fursuit walk in South Bank and, you know, having the duffel bag with my suit and such and putting on the partial. I feel like I would actually have a lot of fun doing that, and I think it would be a really great experience for me, because then that would be an opportunity to hang out with more of the Queensland fursuiters that are there, rather than, you know, just being, you know, looking forward to meeting up with Twitch furries who, you know, many of them are already busy as is. Like, Scribbly Noodle is an artist. Even though they weren't at the dealer's den, they didn't have a stall or anything like that for FurDU, they were, you know, they were scheduled out. There was someone that wanted to see them. There was someone that wanted to go to lunch, to dinner with them, or any of that. It was intense for them. And then there was me, who was just sort of like, would be cool to play Magic. Yay. But then, you know, no one plays Magic because I didn't actually say, hey, I got my decks. I'm in the Phoenix room. Thank you for the boops. So, but yeah, it would be nice to do more fursuit walks. I should have been a lot smarter and put my Himbo shirts and such into the into the laundry, but I didn't. So that's my mistake. I am going to need to fix that. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all my notes. That's all I wanted to talk about FurDU. I enjoyed my time that was there. There was, you know, some moments that I could have done better. Some parts that still made me, you know.
Did you see it?
Feel like a. What did I see? Bestest boy with 1 kill. Good for them. But yeah, there was some moments where, you know, I still felt like the really strong introvert that I am. Should really be honest with myself that I'm always going to feel that way. I don't think there's ever going to be a time that I don't feel like an autistic introvert and that I am, you know, fucking up on some simple steps. Because, you know, fucking 30 years I've been on this earth and 25 of them I want to say I've been conscious. So, yeah. Sorry for on that bombshell, on that sour note. I think I'm gonna end the stream here. I'm gonna have a quick look and see who is online and streaming, because I don't think a lot of the Australian streamers are back and up for streaming right now. So, although. Oh, Sylvixen is streaming right now. Ow!
This test boyox paid me to say you're amazing, Grant, so shush.
Alrighty then, fine. Thank you, bestest boy, for the 10 bits. I greatly appreciate it. We're gonna go and raid into Sylvixen then, because they're in the middle, they're streaming right now. Let's see, how long are they gonna stream? They've only been at it for an hour and a bit. Okay, so it should be, we should be okay for streaming into them. And we are going to go for, all right. There we go. All right, we're going to go raid into Sylvixen, and our raid message is going to be Furry Down Under are back home. So, because that one's, you know, FurDU, Furry Down Under is over. I'm back home, Sylvixen's back home. A few people are probably back home, but they're not ready yet. I just realized I'm talking over Sylvixen in my thingy. All right, I need to stop that. But yeah, I am going to end the stream there. I should be back to my normal schedule. I will need to get a schedule out at some point in the future to say what the hell I'm doing, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because I might do Tears of the Kingdom. I've already started doing it. So I'm not entirely certain if I want to just... I don't know if I want to start Tears of the Kingdom all over again, or if I'm just going to be like, fuck it. It's The Legend of Zelda. Link has to save Zelda. Hyrule's in danger. Ganondorf is the evil. And then, you know, just have people ignore the fact that they haven't seen the first start. But other than that, I'll probably ask about that in chat. I just want to say thank you, everyone who came along to tonight's stream. Thank you so much for you know, being here as I ranted about FurDU and about my experiences and, you know, my social ineptitude. Hello there. Thank you, bestest boy, for the bit, and I hope you'll join with me as we go and raid Sylvixen in the next few seconds. Bye for now.